clean install of Windows 10, how far do you have to go after that from that new install to be able to work with anything that may have now a new update, whether it's PUBG or whether it's Steam or whatever, to be compatible? It's a fair question.
Yeah, what I just experienced is even with having outside apps allowable outside of the Windows Store, is it just forced my Chrome for me to have send diagnostics to Chrome to fix the problem why it would not work.
Oh, by the way, the
Even though
troubleshooter just crashed.
your troubleshooter just crashed.
Yeah, it just closed out without showing anything. Probably about 15 gigabytes of updates just on the Windows side alone, and that's after doing a clean install, Narc? Is that correct? Jesus. That's insane. That's insane. And you know, this is something else that really is pissing me off with this with this new operating system. Well, not so new. You have to use up bandwidth. Unless, yeah, he just confirmed that. 15 gigabytes of updates just on the Windows side. That's crazy. I mean, there are people who have limited bandwidth. I'm not one of them, luckily. Well, yeah, I am, actually. I mean, I have unlimited bandwidth, but there's still a 2 terabyte cap.
You got more than I got. I got 1 cap.
You have 1 terabyte cap. Okay, so for you, between streaming something like PUBG and whatever else you're doing when you're not streaming, you can hit that cap pretty easily.
Well, actually, I've found it pretty hard to hit that cap, believe it or not.
Well, I mean, if you were a full-time streamer, you definitely would hit it, no question.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure of that, but I mean.
Yeah, I mean, I don't stream that often. You know, I'm a part-time streamer at best. But nevertheless, my point is that if you go over, your ISP charges you. You know, you've got these tiers that you have to pay, or you just download the whole Fall Creator ISO. That might save you some. Yeah, but what we're debating here, Narc, is whether the Fall Creator is something that you even want in your computer, or whichever version. Well, see, that's the thing. Before I had the Fall Creator, I was having issues. Nowhere near the issues that I'm having right now. And so somebody suggested, well, you should, try to update to the current, Windows 10. I'm like, okay, well, I guess I should do that, And then I find out now that it's far inferior to what I was, had in my system before, and I got even more headaches. It's just wow. All right, cool. Check for pending updates fixed. View detailed information. Okay, so let's see. Okay, all green check marks. And I don't see any red. No red.
Close it up.
Okay.
Close it up. Are you using the same PC that you're for your stream?
Yes, I am. I think if you just do clean versus the upgrade to fall. Yeah, this is exactly what we're talking about, Narc, is if you do just the clean install from the from this, which came with my computer, then you're essentially back to square one. I mean, you can disable updates. We all know we can disable updates. Okay, but the question is there going to be something that's going to come along that, say, Steam, which I don't know how much you get from Steam, but or say PUBG, or say Hi-Rez, or say any one of these game providers is going to say, hey, you know what? We have implemented an update that works with a newer version of Windows 10. Now what are you going to do? Suggesting uninstall and reinstall the original OS. Yeah, I know. I agree. I mean, this is something that I would, back in the days of XP, I would have agreed to do, and it would be a hell of a lot less, you know, time it would take, etc., to do these things because we got bigger, badder operating systems now, you know.
Yeah.
But
I just let Newhart know what we've been talking. So
yeah, I don't know why you were banned. I'm really curious. Something in the verbiage. I don't know.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But I'm
It's,
only I think I'm still using Nightbot because if I disable Nightbot, then I disable certain other features that I otherwise don't think I'm going to be able to utilize in Stream Elements. But it could have been Stream Elements. I don't know. Software providers support all different versions. I've not heard of them stopping after a new version came out. Okay, I'm digesting that.
yeah, that's what I was saying. 7's the same thing as the 7 Pro is the same thing as 10 Pro. That's basically what he's saying in short form. In long form, yeah, they stopped. Uh, yeah, they,
Okay, so essentially, the whole thing of upgrading to the next version is essentially kind of, I don't know how to put it,
for the creators
psychologically, it's to establish some kind of an idea that you're going to upgrade and upgrading is good. Upgrading is always good, right?
well, somewhat.
Supposedly.
But the main thing
Support the
for
different version of Windows 7
the
still.
creator,
He says there's
to
still
do
support for
something
Windows
hard.
7. You were telling me there isn't support for Windows 7 anymore.
No, I was saying Windows 7 Pro is the same as Windows 10 Pro.
Right, but you said earlier that they have no longer, Microsoft is no longer supporting Windows 7. Did I not understand correctly?
Security. For security.
For security.
You have to purchase your own security.
But just security. I understood it in reverse. I understood that okay, see, this is what I misunderstood. I misunderstood. I thought you were saying they no longer support security. I mean, they no longer support regular tech support for Windows 7, only security. Okay, I
No,
misunderstood.
they
They quit supporting Vista for
their
security.
tech support for the Windows 7 platform is very limited. You're pretty much left on your own, yes. But the reason why is because they removed Essentials, Microsoft Essentials. You remember that used to be like Defender is now. They removed
Mm.
that. You no longer have no support in Windows Microsoft Essentials. It's gone. What you do have to do is
Mm-hmm.
purchase and install your own security. Once you've got that in Windows, say 7, 7 Home, 7 Pro, you'll be just fine. And yes, 7 will run up to date games.
Hmm.
There's, like I said earlier, there's millions leaving 10 and going back to.
See, I got to question one thing though, DX12, because my understanding is DX12 doesn't run on Windows 7.
No, it's any Windows operating system from the still being sold operating system on the open market is you have to just say Nvidia. Say you got Nvidia. Just as long as you see,
No,
this is what a lot of people don't understand. Nvidia have their own drivers. You install their drivers on your PC. You do not have to have Windows 7 um, in compatibility with NVIDIA drivers because NVIDIA drivers are their own drivers. Same thing with Radeon. Same with the AMD graphics cards. The newer graphic cards. Now, older graphic cards you won't be able to,
hmm.
but
Oh,
the newer graphic cards have the drivers installed on your system. So you're using the
mainstream
drivers
support
from the
mainly refers
manufacturer,
on
not off the operating
security
system.
updates.
This is the difference.
Yeah, he's talking about end of life. I think that's what he's talking about, end of life. I just stumbled on a Reddit conversation here real quick. Upgrading from Win 7 to 10 for the purpose of DX12. Advice, thoughts, experience thus far. I'm going to spare you the whole thing, but the response is I wouldn't bother personally. The privacy issues with the Windows 10 are absurd. That was a year ago. DX12 would be faster only on DX12 titles. It might be easier to just make a secondary Windows 10 install to run those games. Now, see, the thing is you can force, my understanding is you can force DX12 to run on Windows 7, but it probably isn't going to run native the way it's supposed to. DX11 is probably as far as you'd be able to go. The selling point for Windows 10 has been DX12 ever since I started, hearing the conversations. And there are a lot of people who are saying, hey, most of the games in the future are going to be a DX12. And if you don't have a DX12 operating system, you're out of luck,
Well, before I updated and went to the Windows 10,
Yeah.
I was running 8.1 with absolutely no problem with DX11 or 12.
You could run DX12 on 8.1. That's interesting. Well, because 8.1 is similar to 10, but 7 isn't.
Well, it's 8 similar to 10, but 8.1 is similar to 7.
8.1 is similar to 7?
If you can.
Yeah, because they removed the what was it? The
Essential security for essential.
Yeah.
Just like Narc just posted, they've actually, that's what I was saying, is the newer, what's still being sold on the market now is still being technically supported until such date that he posted there. But at the same time, even as it was prior to the newer updates that they rolled, security updates they rolled out, is people were still on 7 with their own security. You see what I'm saying? And they were still running up to date games up to what, a year or two ago, from what I remember, which was DX11. So, which goes back to what you were saying. DX11, yes, but DX12, no. But see, that's falsified as well, because if you think about how NVIDIA and the new graphics
Most game
cards
developers
are,
still create
you install
and
their
DX.
drivers on your PC, so you could run right off of the drivers of the installed updates drivers.
Well, I want to tell
And you
Narc,
run it on.
I have the option to have Windows 7 installed on this system, and for the very reason of the whole thing about DX12, I opted not to. I regret that now. I suppose I could wipe this clean and install Windows 7. I have Windows 7 still from my other PC. But I'm not so sure. I would have a dual boot, but I'm considering making this a Hackintosh. So it's going to be Windows and OS operating system side by side. Do I want to make it a tri-boot? That's where things can get complicated, right?
No,
Yeah.
well, not necessarily. See, on my other PC, the one I use to monitor everything, that actually kind of partitioned from everything else, I've got 7, 7 Pro, 8.1, and 10 on it.
You got 4 operating systems. Wow.
Plus, overseeing all that is Linux.
So 5 actually.
So.
And what are you using for a? Are you using Grub to do the boot?
No, I've got my own little thing going. I'm in my own little thing. So that's a beautiful thing about Linux. You can actually develop your own little thing.
So you've got your own boot menu set up.
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, I could do a tri-boot, and I probably will do a tri-boot, and that tri-boot will most likely be Windows 7 included, just because, like I said from the beginning of our conversation, for me that's been the most stable system since XP. And I mean,
you can use 7 to boot into
tri-boot
online.
with Linux, XP, ME.
If you've got 8.1, you could use 8.1 to run all of your, say, video and everything, like YouTube, Twix, and all that, and then you can use 10 to run your gaming and streaming.
The thing is I'm not a big fan of multiple boot systems for the very reason of the old days. Nowadays, maybe that'll change my mind about that, is the time it takes to have to shut down and go to the boot menu and start, you know, the other operating system and go back and forth. And I'll tell you, I mean, for me, it's always been a fail-safe, because if something went wrong with that operating system, then it would fall back on the other operating system.
Yeah.
You know, so, and I'm sure you guys